All right, it is 1 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello, and thank you for joining Creating Communication Strategies for Market Research for the Multicultural Audience. My name is Brandale Mills Cox, and I am the principal and founder of Inclusive Market Research Group, a full-service research firm specializing in helping organizations and brands creating culturally sensitive messaging using consumer insights. So today, we are going to really quickly kind of go through the urgency of multicultural marketing. So why is it important to market to the multicultural audience? The benefits of market research, brand and product perception, how inclusive market research groups can help brands and organizations with these services, what data-driven communication strategies are and how they incorporate themselves in different types of organizations, and also understanding the power of words. So a little bit of background about me. I'm currently a communications faculty member at Central New Mexico Community College in Albuquerque, New Mexico. There, I teach interpersonal communication and public speaking. I completed my doctorate degree from Howard University in Washington, D.C., and it was there that I discovered my passion for research, particularly around Black representation in the media. So I created Inclusive Market Research Group in an effort to combine my passion for research and diverse representation with social advocacy. So according to the article, The Urgency of Multicultural Marketing, across 21 of the 25 major US markets, 84% of consumers are multicultural. That is a huge percentage. This equates to $4.3 trillion in consumer buying power. By 2044, the nation's three largest multicultural groups will be Hispanics, African Americans, and Asians. And so inclusive market research groups focus on multicultural audiences, give brands and organizations a unique insight inside of the minds of the individuals who will continue to shape our nation's identity in upcoming years. So what are the benefits of using marketing research to develop communication strategies? Well, when you use data-driven research to shape your consumer engagement and communication strategies, you're specifically addressing the needs of your target audience. You're not just making an assumption on the messaging themes that may be in fact impactful, nor are you using language that may offend your target audience. When you use market research to help develop your communication strategies, you're a more informed business owner, and you're a more engaged facilitator. And of course, as we have noted here, for nonprofit organizations, it could be the difference between developing initiatives that are well-intentioned, but you still are kind of missing that connection with your target audience because your message doesn't align with their cultural values. Market research can answer questions such as, what are the most effective ways to get my audience engaged? Do my services need to be altered to adjust to the changing social climate? How can my organization maximize its impact? It can also help you build a solid communication strategy based on your research. For higher education institutions, it could mean attracting diverse applicants and understanding their positionality so when they attend your university, they don't feel alienated. For small businesses, it can mean saving money on wasted marketing efforts with no clear direction or target audience. For everyone, inclusive market research means developing an understanding, an authentic understanding of your audience and their needs. So why do diverse perspectives matters? Incorporating diverse perspectives in your marketing, brand development, and overall communication strategies can help you connect with your groups and communities where you might not have any direct expertise. Inclusive discourse and marketing strategies can help many audiences feel seen and unheard. As an organization, That is the consumer and community engagement that you should strive for. Today's consumers care less about the product and more about the experience. So in our world of oversaturation and instant gratification, it's become increasingly easy to purchase a product or to use a service from anywhere. And so because of this, if you have a product or service that your target market can get from multiple places, how do you set yourself apart? Well, you do that by building an authentic relationship with your consumers. Statistics have shown that organizations that incorporate audience research in their consumer engagement strategies have a greater chance of retention and client satisfaction. Understanding your target audience's needs, wants, likes, dislikes is the first step in creating a memorable experience that they can't get anywhere else. Product and consumer research also plays a critical role in making the best decisions in the product development process. Inclusive Market Research Group equips businesses with the analysis of their target audience to make sure that they're making informed execution of new product designs and marketing efforts. Using our research findings and consumer insights, brands can create products that specifically cater to the consumer while connecting with new consumers with inclusive outreach and representation. Understanding how audiences may receive your product is a messaging that is essential in any communication strategy. Now, many of you may remember a couple of years ago when Pepsi released the commercial featuring model and media personality Kendall Jenner, and here it is playing in the background. In the commercial, she's seen leaving a photo shoot to join a nearby protest marching for what appears to be peace and equality. While the premise of the commercial seems harmless, audiences interpret the message very differently. So if you remember, Pepsi received a lot of backlash because of this commercial. The commercial was very reminiscent of the Black Lives Matter marches that had taken place in recent months, protesting against a very serious matter: police violence and systemic racism against Black people in America. Many audience members felt like the commercial's attempt to make light of such a powerful movement was a tone-deaf attempt to engage a specific audience. A genuine understanding of the magnitude and the seriousness of the Black Lives Matter movement and the community the movement represents could have alleviated much of the backlash Pepsi and Jenner received. For Black audiences, the Black Lives Matter movement is a matter of life and death, and Pepsi's inability to recognize and consider those experiences highlighted their lack of knowledge about the Black community. So, how does research help brands and organizations avoid making tragic mistakes like Pepsi? Well, at Inclusive Market Research Group, depending on the project scope and projected outcome, we use interviews, focus groups, surveys, and ethnographic studies to gain consumer insights from multicultural audiences. Interviews allow us to get that one-on-one interaction between the researcher and the individual to really understand the experiences and insights an individual has connected with the product or experiences. Focus groups are usually about 5 to 10 people, and they allow participants to feed off the energy of others in the room. These tend to be most effective when considering a product development or user experience. Surveys kind of help us collect that hard data, those numbers that can be analyzed to measure direct impact. Ethnographic studies are a bit different in that they focus on an individual's cultural experiences. So depending on what your organization is, what your mission is, understanding those cultural experiences might be critical in shaping your messaging. These are especially useful when an organization is focused on connecting with and understanding a specific culture. With that, we also help brands with brand development, so kind of establishing what their brand and marketing strategy will be, as well as product research. So if you have a product or an initiative that you're not sure how audiences may receive, we can definitely help you kind of survey the market and survey any changes that may need to happen before you officially launch that product. Now, once we've collected all of the data from our consumer engagement, now we develop those strategic communication strategies. So our research firm is a data-driven firm in that we use the data to shape what our marketing and communication outreach will be. We combine what we learn from our interviews, our focus groups and surveys with public relation industry practices to provide recommendations on how better to connect with communities. For example, let's say an organization wants to revamp their mission statement in an effort to better illustrate their focus. Inclusive Market Research Group would hold a focus group with the organization's stakeholders and those directly involved with the organization and determine whether or not the proposed mission statement accurately reflects the organization and its mission. Some of those strategies can also include developing key messaging themes that should be included in marketing material, media and community engagement points, branding messages to include on things such as websites, newsletters, and informational brochures. The bonus is that our data collection methodology, we focus on making sure that messages are culturally sensitive and inclusive. So that way you're not making the same mistakes as Pepsi made because you have an understanding of those various cultural backgrounds. With that, we also help shape our messaging in understanding the power of words. Words and imageries and overall message development could be the difference between genuinely connecting with your audiences and offending them. For example, what are some images that come to mind when you think of the color black? Do you think of death or maybe even sadness, perhaps evil? Now consider the messages, the images that come to mind when you think of the color white. Is it purity, heaven, new beginnings? Have you ever considered why we generally associate positivity with the color white, while we often tend to associate darkness and evil with the color black? Imagine how this dichotomy between the colors black and white shape how we view the world. When we see a black man profiled on the news, are we more likely to remove any negative associations, or are our brains hardwired to revert to those negative connotations? Our use of language can influence our perception of the world. Words shape our reality and our understanding of the world. As brands, mindful construction of messaging and rhetoric can alleviate offending audience members. Unthoughtful use of language can inadvertently reveal elitism or ignorance to one's cultural norms and values. Understanding word connotation and cultural interpretation of terms is one of the first steps in developing culturally sensitive messaging. So in understanding word connotation, you know that depending on the term, one's cultural background and experiences may attach different meaning or emotional attachments to that definition. For example, some may use the term minority to describe a demographic of people who do not occupy a majority population based on numbers. Those categorized as minorities, however, may take offense to the root term minor. Simple adjustments of how one refers to individuals may create a more inclusive message, thus connecting with more audience members. You can also research different cultural interpretation on terms. So many words have multiple interpretations across language. While one culture may use a word to describe a seemingly simple idea or concept, the same term may be offensive to someone outside of that cultural demographic. So understanding that when you craft language and messaging that illustrates your brand and its mission, it's extremely important to understand how people and how various cultures may interpret your words and how their meaning might not necessarily align with your intended message. Diverse market research is key and critical in helping brands gain various consumer insights that will shed light on how audience members may understand and interpret your message. So, I want to leave you with this question that you can think about individually or perhaps as an organization. What does a culturally sensitive brand look like? Do you include diverse perspectives in your outreach and marketing materials? Do you understand the power of words? Are you culturally sensitive? If the answer is no, then Inclusive Market Research Group is here to help you reach your goals. Are there any questions? Okay, Viola, I see you have a question. I'm trying to enable the question and answer portion. Give me 1 second. You know, it does not seem to be working, but I will connect with you offline. Are there any additional questions? All right. Well, if you would like more information, you can visit inclusivemarketresearchgroup.com. Email me directly at Brandale at Inclusive Market Research Group. Follow us on Twitter and follow us on Instagram at InclusiveMRG. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you.